It's a sprint to the finish, and the Harris campaign tells us the vice president will visit every battleground state in this final week before America decides. Today, Kamala Harris was back in Michigan, part of a blue wall strategy. It's one of the places we spent time with the Democratic candidate over the weekend.
Kamala Harris.
Touring an assembly line today in Saginaw, Michigan, the vice president is trying to make a dent in voters' view that Donald Trump would do a better job with the economy.
When he was president, he sold advanced chips to China that helped them with their agenda to modernize their military. That's not about what's in the best interest of America's security and prosperity.
Hemlock Semiconductor secured a $325 million federal grant to expand production of chips.
You're going to be hiring 1,300 new workers starting today. Good paying jobs, $89,000 a year, I understand, at least.
How are you? Nice to see you. We met with Harris for 2 days this weekend. We are waiting to go backstage to see the vice president here. We good?
Yeah.
Getting a rare behind-the-curtain look. It's a message aimed at energizing first-time voters like this U.S. Army veteran.
This is my first rally that I'm ever experiencing. I was one of the young black males that came up, never thought my vote would ever make a difference. So this time I'm actually experiencing voting for the first time at 65 years old. I just turned 65 2 days ago.
Older voters, but especially younger ones.
I've never been this close to a politician before, especially someone as high up as the vice president. And I just think it kind of humanized her a little bit.
Raise your hand if this is your first presidential election. And raise your hand if this is the first political rally you've ever been to.
As we traveled to Battleground, Michigan, we met more first-time voters.
So what do you think is the #1 issue for women your age?
Abortion, reproductive rights.
Really?
Yeah.
You have been clear that that is a priority, but what you have not been clear on is what that bill would look like. You've talked about restoring Roe versus
But I am
Wade.
very clear.
But you've not said what restrictions you would support.
Let's put back in place Roe versus Wade. This was not an issue. When Roe versus Wade was intact, for 50 years, half a century, women, together with their physicians, were here at a medical office talking with physicians. Women in consultation, if they chose, with their priest, their pastor, their rabbi, their imam.
So you do support restrictions after viability?
I support Roe versus Wade being put back into law by Congress and to restore the fundamental right of women to make decisions about their own body. It is that basic.
But you know, there are restrictions. With Roe versus Wade, there were restrictions after viability.
We would not be debating this if Donald Trump had not hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And what we have seen, as demonstrated last night and every day these last 2 years, is extraordinary harm that has occurred in America, where women have died because of Trump abortion bans, where women who have survived rape and girls' incest, and no exception for someone whose body has been violated to make a decision about what happens to their body next. We have seen women who are experiencing a miscarriage around a pregnancy they prayed for and being denied health care because doctors are afraid they're going to go to prison, and those women developing sepsis. We have seen extraordinary harm and pain and suffering happen because of what Donald Trump did in intending and effectuating an overturning of Roe v. Wade. Yes, my first priority is to put back in place those protections and to stop this pain and to stop this injustice that is happening around our country.
So then why not say what restrictions you would support as part of that?
I've told you.
And
Let's put back in place Roe v. Wade.
And when you argue that Donald Trump, if elected, would put forward a national abortion ban.
Just read Project 2025.
The former president said that's not true. He would veto.
He says everything. Come on, are we really taking his word for it? He said that women should be punished. He has been all over the place on this. But I'm too busy watching what he's doing to see what he has said.
The one place in America where women still have a right to choose.
This new Democratic ad out today.
You can vote any way you want. and no one will ever know.
Is a sign that Democrats see female silent voters as her best chance for victory.
We are more than just baby-making vessels.
It's the very same message we heard from Michelle Obama on Saturday in Kalamazoo.
And if you are a woman who lives in a household of men that don't listen to you or value your opinion, just remember that your vote is a private matter.
We were there on the rope line
Good to see you.
as the voter next to us told us she's heard about a number of Republicans who will vote Democratic.
There's been kind of a little under campaign going about you can vote and no one knows your vote. And it's been aiming at women.
There are just 8 days to go.
What would you like to see the vice president address or talk about?
I think more details about what she plans to do, how she plans to make things better. There are a lot of people who are afraid, who have short-term memory about what things were like under Donald Trump.
There have been questions about enthusiasm as polls show the race in a dead heat. In giving that polling, which I'm always reluctant to put too much emphasis on, but it does suggest that your momentum has slowed. Do you feel like the race is slipping away?
I do not. And actually, and I agree with you. I think certainly polling is a measure, but to be frank, if I'd listened to polls, I would have never run for my first or second office. I wouldn't be here talking with you. And what I am seeing are in states such as South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, historic turnout. Historic turnout.
Do you think you've had enough time to make the argument about why you should be president?
I'm going to make the most of the time I have.
CBS News has offered a sit-down interview to former President Trump as well, and the offer still stands.